So this little bit for the private group, I was thinking, what can we talk about? Because obviously there's an infinite amount to look at. But one thing that struck me that would be interesting is, and you can talk about this because you've bridged these two sides. There's a lot of so-called spiritual teachers and leaders and things like that really work with the meditation and different stuff like that and the awareness of the bigger picture. But they say, especially ones that have not gotten that far, that we don't need to deal with the physical body anymore because we're so spiritual, and, you only do because you're way down below us. And what I found is that the physical body and the consciousness and the mind in between, those, it's good to bring those into harmony. And that if you can learn about the laws of nature that affect and determine physical health, it makes the inner work much easier. Do you agree with that? And what do you think is the significance of everything that you can do in nature for your physical body with respect to your inner work and your spiritual growth?
Well, physical reality is an incredible, vivid kind of reality. I mean, think about when you meditate or you go to sleep at night. It has a certain kind of reality, but it doesn't have the vividness of 3D physicality. Mm-hmm. And so being physical is a huge gift. There are a lot of beings that want to incarnate into physical bodies that, have to wait on it in some cases. It's a real gift to be here and to be here now on Earth in a physical body. And, it's just like riding around the car. Your body is a vehicle for your consciousness. I know that for a fact personally because I was back in my 20s, my late teens and early 20s, I had a couple of near-death experiences and left my body. And so I know that this is just a container for our consciousness.
Right.
But it's like riding around in a car. If you take care of the car, it'll last a long time and no troubles, and you have a much better time. And if you don't take care of the car and you abuse it, it's going to fall apart faster, and you're going to, have problems. Same thing with this vehicle. If you take care of it and feed it the way it's designed to be fed and detoxify it and protect it from all the stressors that we have in our environment, then you can live a much longer life, pain-free, and happily. You can be happy for no reason all the time. I mean, most people find that hard to believe. But when you clean the toxins out of your physical body and out of your mind and emotions, you're just happy for no particular reason. You're like Forrest Gump. You don't know why you're happy. You're just happy. Mm-hmm. And, I'm going to be 60 in a couple of weeks, and I don't have any aches and pains. I don't have any health problems. I go to the doctor to get a prescription for chiropractic or massage. And whenever they do we have this little game we play where they do all these tests on me to milk my insurance so they get paid. Sure. And then they give me prescriptions for massage and chiropractic and stuff.
Right.
Right. And all of the people working in the clinic are sick, all the staff, and they can't believe when, even back 10 years ago when I was 50, I'd go in there and they'd say, what meds are you on? And I'm like, well, I'm not on any meds. What?
You can't live without drugs, everybody.
No meds? Yeah, at your age, they can't fathom it. But so we need to take care of our physical vehicle so that we can have a good time spiritually. I mean, to me, the whole point of being here is to have joy and abundance. And I've had many, many, many lessons in staying out of fear. It's not like I'm all that in a bag of chips. I've had a lot of hard lessons in this lifetime. I had a lot of stuff I had to deal with and process and heal. And so, I know that when you really let go of the fear, this has been my experience, when I got so exhausted of being stressed and afraid about whatever and just let it go and said, screw it, then everything started flowing and everything started happening and everything worked. And so now I don't worry about stuff. I don't worry about, am I going to have enough money? Is this going to happen? Is that going to happen? I'm not at all concerned about it because I really, really get that, I can consciously create my reality. If everybody else in the world gets vaccinated, I'm not going to. If the world blows up in a ball of flames, I'll be on a flying saucer partying with some ETs or some secret space program people or something, you know.
In other words, let it work out.
Exactly. You don't have to know how it's going to work out, but just stay focused on what you want and envision miraculous things, you know. One of the Indian gurus that I studied and worked with, he has a great thing. He says, you know, you can have positive thinking or you can have negative thinking, or you can have disastrous thinking, or you can have miraculous thinking. So why not have miraculous thinking, you know? So,
and what I've found gives that power is the emotional counterpart that you put with it.
yeah, absolutely.
In other words, it's not a theoretical thing. Oh, yeah, this might be miraculous or something. You have to feel like you were there.
Exactly.
Right.
You have to feel it and believe it.
Yeah.
And when the unconscious mind lines up with the conscious mind, you can do unbelievable things. I've seen multiple people. I've seen 2 people with tumors in their brain the size of baseballs heal them in 4 hours just by aligning the conscious and unconscious minds to believe that they could be healed. I've seen 2 different women who were in car wrecks, 2 different occasions, completely separate, where their C3, 4, and 5 vertebrae in their necks were fused together in one piece of bone. One lady, the doctors wired her neck bones together, so the wire was fused into the bone. And in 4 hours, just by working on their conscious and unconscious minds, the bones restructured back to normal and the wire disappeared in the one lady. And they've got the x-rays to prove it. Wow. So I didn't, at the time when I saw this, I didn't believe that was possible. And after seeing things like that over and over again, it's like, I realized it's like, I'm not putting limits on anything, because the human mind is so amazingly powerful. We just have to understand and believe in our own power.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the belief has to become experiential reality, right?
And the more that
things,
the more that you experience it, the more that you feel it, and it's like a self-feeding feedback loop.
Yeah.
Where it becomes more and more effortless.
The emotional state is where the power is.
Yes.
Rather than a detached thought, right?
Absolutely.
And what I've noticed is that people really look down on the idea of imagination because it's unreal and everything. But since we know we're creating our reality, one way to see it is that what we're imagining, if we really imagine it on a gut feeling level, that's what we're creating. So it's not like whether or not to use imagination. Everybody is doing it all the time. You're just deciding what direction to put it.
Right. When I was in engineering school, I took a course called The Theory of Knowledge. And it was about how we know what we know, or how we know what we think we know. And, you know, we don't know what we don't know, and we don't know that we don't know it.
Yeah.
You know, we just know what we know, or we think we know.
Yeah.
And, you know, think about it this way. If you have, let's say you have an Aborigine person living in South America who's never encountered modern people. They're living in Stone Age level of development. They've never met a modern person or technology, and they have certain beliefs about the world. And you step in with a cigarette lighter and maybe a laser or whatever, and you show this to them. You're a god, and it's magic, right?
Yeah.
So is that the true reality? Well, to them it is. It's their reality,
right? Not
your reality. So there is no one truth. There is no one reality. It's the reality that we live in and create. Now, there is a bigger reality, and how far out does it go? You know, ultimately, I think it goes all the way out to the creator.
That is the reality. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think
we're
the
all
source is everything.
Exactly. So we're all just creating metaphors for reality of what we think everything is. It's like, I use this metaphor very often. It's like an amoeba trying to understand a 57 Chevy. It has no frame of reference to be able to comprehend it at all.
Right.
And we're the same boat. You know, the cosmos and the multiverse is so complex and big and so beyond us that all we can do is create metaphors to describe it. And as long as it works for us, then we all agree on it. Then we all think that it's fact, but it's not.
Maybe we can't create that accurate image of it because it's so far beyond, but we can invite it to take over our existence, right? So that without having to figure it out, it can just come in and become our whole reality.
Right. And there's a reason that every living being operates within its own reality. Whether you're an Aborigine in the South American jungles, or you're a scientist working in an underground lab or whatever, you have a certain reality because it is the soul chose to come into that potential reality, to experience it, to learn and to grow. And everyone is at different levels of development.
Right. With
so
different
we come in for different experiences.
Yeah.
That's my metaphor. That's my belief.
Well, I totally agree with it. And once you realize that's what's happening, you can start saying, well, maybe I don't need to be in this limitation anymore.
Right.
And I can let more come in.
Right.
And ultimately,
from time to time, I kind of do a mental emotional enema where I really take time off. I get away from home and from work and from everything. I get out in nature and I meditate, and I'm doing detoxing and raw food and stuff. And I examine through meditation everything that I believe and look at it. I try to pull myself out as far as possible and look at, is what I'm thinking and believing true? Is it reality?
Yeah.
What doesn't serve me? What doesn't work? And I think the more that you become in line with the way the universe operates, the easier life becomes. So that's what I strive for. But ultimately, we're here to learn and to grow and to experience. And I can't complain. I've had a pretty wonderful life. It hasn't always been wonderful or easy, but it's been an incredible, amazing life.
It's enough of a demonstration that you can have it as good as you want in the middle of anything.
Right. Yeah, I mean, this past year is an example of that. I had family members and employees freaking out when COVID was announced here and all the lockdowns and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And I had one employee come to me and say, "Oh, the governor's mandated that everybody shut down and all this stuff." I was like, "Oh, well, I don't buy that." And so I went and looked at everything and went, "No, we don't have to," and everything was fine, But if you're living in fear and being programmed and operating unconsciously, then
and you attract that, right?
Yeah.
Now they say, well, if you want to be safe and set a good example for other people, you really should have at least 4 masks on. You
should what?
Have at least 4 masks at a time.
Yeah. That's hilarious. It's all about enslavement.
Yeah. It's
all part of the mind control. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be interviewing Kathy O'Brien soon, who was an MK Ultra mind control subject.
Right.
About that very thing, because I heard her talking about the masks and how it's a demonstration of specific types of mind control, MK Ultra mind control programming.
Yeah. And it's on the physical level because it really makes it harder to breathe. Right.
It makes it hard to breathe. It also makes it so people can't see each other's emotions, and then they disconnect.
We become like these NPCs, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's all part of the program. And I think people are going to start waking up to it and getting tired of it. I know here in Florida, we're lucky here in Florida that we have a governor who is...
You got a good governor. Yeah.
Yeah. So we haven't had to deal with it. We can go out and eat in restaurants and stuff. And
wow, they let you out to do that?
Yeah. Now, I went to the conventional grocery store the other day, which I never do.
Yeah.
But I went into the regular grocery store for something. I think it was like a cleaning brush. And I was really surprised that like 90% of the people, maybe 95% of the people in there were wearing masks.
Yeah.
And
looking at each other scared, probably, right?
Yeah, well, and nobody, to their credit, nobody was like staring me down or looking afraid of me or anything,
Okay.
and so, it's just, it's sad to see how many people are drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, where I live, 2 out of the 3 sources of natural organic food are calling the police now if anybody comes in without a mask.
Oh, God.
Having them physically jumped on.
Jeez.
So
it's crazy.
It'd be a good time to turn it around, I think.
Yeah. And, fortunately, I know because many years ago, I got to know my local health food store owners, and they're all friends of mine. And so if they had a mask mandate, they wouldn't make me do it.
Yeah. Well, those are not big chains, right? Those are independent stores.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, we've got to get to know our local law enforcement, our local politicians,
right,
and start talking to them about this stuff and, share facts with them that are equivocal.
Not wait for a crisis, in other words.
Because a lot of them, some of them are open-minded, some of them are just not aware.
Yeah.
And you also have to keep in mind, too, if you're a business owner or if you're a politician, you kind of have to toe the line to a certain degree for legal reasons, because you can get sued and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
So even people sometimes that know that the COVID scam is a fraud, they still will comply because of, the mind-controlled masses.
Right. And the police want to keep their jobs, too.
Yeah.
Right. They don't want to say, no, I'm not going to beat up that lady. She didn't do anything.
Yeah. But like here in Florida where I live, our sheriff is a constitutional sheriff. He's a member of the
that's great.
Constitutional Peace Officers Association.
Yeah.
So, and most of the other counties around here that I know of, the sheriffs are all members of that. So they're very much into protecting people's constitutional rights as opposed to locking them down and masking them down.
That would be a big help. One of the questions, and we'll stop in a minute here, but we've had Richard Mack on the show numerous times, and one of the things, find out what the update on this is, but previously he said, the Constitution prohibits government agencies and agents from doing certain things against, the Bill of Rights and if it was more conscious, it would be against any of the natural rights that the Bill of Rights is just an example of. But one thing he was trying to figure out a couple of months ago is when the plan is for the government to enforce tyranny using private corporations that supposedly are not limited by the Constitution, that's more of a challenge.
Right. And we don't have rule of law anymore. I mean, that's
right.
Anybody that thinks we do is delusional. I mean, all you have to do is look at the legislative hearings over the election fraud and the electoral college hearings with Congress, and you can see we have no
fine.
rule of law.
Right.
They're not,
so that all comes from
the Constitution or the rules of laws in the various states and in the U.S. Government.
Another symptom of lack of consciousness, I guess, right?
Right.
So all we have to do is fix that.
Well, it kind of fixes itself over the long term because it goes against the way the universe operates, and therefore it always self-destructs. It's just that it's very traumatic and painful for a lot of people.
Yeah, I would just personally like to see it happen sooner so that some of that pain can be eliminated.
I think it will. I think everything's happening much faster now than it would. Because if you look at how long it took, for example, for Nazi Germany and Hitler and all that to rise to power and to fall from power, it took quite a long time.
Yeah.
This stuff that's going on now, we're on the accelerated path. So I think things will ultimately get better, but they've got to get really bad because all of the people that are asleep and mind controlled, they have to be awakened.
Yeah, that maybe there is a problem that we need to respond to, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but if you look around at what's happened already up to this point that we know about, like with COVID, a lot of people are waking up because of the cold, hard slap in the face of lockdowns and masks and all of the draconian measures that have been going on and businesses being put out of business. I mean, it's like here in Daytona Beach where I live, the main tourist drag along the river, there used to be about 15 different restaurants. Now there's 2, and the rest are permanently gone.
Right.
And the buildings are empty. There's nothing replacing them.
Yeah.
So when enough people see that kind of stuff and it affects them personally and they've had enough of it, then they're going to start standing up.
Yeah, Biden is talking about a 5-year initial lockdown for the next stage.
And that's been the plan all along.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been planned for decades. I've got a 6-hour webinar in my private membership site about COVID and 5G and chemtrails. Right. And I show the proof that it's been planned for decades.
What do you think is the reason that the trees outside the Oval Office behind where Biden is talking got replaced overnight with a parking lot? And people where he actually is.
I think it's because, that a lot of this is being faked. A lot of it is being pre-recorded and filmed in front of green screens. Yeah,
I think so too. It's going to be really interesting to watch the next stages.
Yeah. I'm not, there are a lot of hopium dealers out there that are just telling everybody, just sit back and enjoy the show and watch everything fall apart because it's going to get better. I don't buy that at all. I think
that's not what's happening so far.
Yeah, I think that's propaganda designed to keep people complacent. We got to get off our butts and take action and get out and protest and do things to take back our country and to
totally
regain
agree.
our freedoms.
In the first week or 10 days of Biden's work, he's undone a lot of the positive things that Trump did. You know, made sure to open the borders, kill the pipeline projects.
Right. And, a lot of people may have different philosophical or political views about that stuff, but when it starts affecting them negatively,
they're going to find out.
That's right.
Yeah. No, I have a lot of people attacking me because I've said Trump's not in on it. He's not evil. He just had a lot of things he didn't understand, including his main project. He had no idea what the swamp really was, but he did a lot of things that the swamp considered unacceptable and did a lot of good things like avoiding the climate accord and getting out of TPP and all this kind of stuff. And those are being quickly reversed in the first few days. And that's just the beginning. So we have some work to do, I think.
Yeah, and I have quite a few very intelligent, compassionate, wonderful friends who are drinking the Kool-Aid. They're listening to the mainstream news and believing it and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so what people believe is based on whose Kool-Aid they're drinking, because the alt media aren't necessarily telling the truth either. They're very manipulated.
That's right.
So that's why I tell people, stop plugging into that crap and meditate. Get your own answers.
Yeah.
People that haven't meditated, especially, for a long time, they don't understand that you can get the news in your meditation. You can find out if this politician is corrupt or not.
Right.
When you hear them talk, you can feel their frequency, read their frequency, and tell if they're telling the truth or not.
That's right.
This is why you meditate. It's not
your perception.
Down.
Your perception ability totally changes.
That's right. You become more psychic. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, which everybody is. We're just disconnected from it.
That's right.
Well, I hope you'll come back soon.
Anytime, Richard. I love talking to you, man. Anytime.
Yeah, it's really fun. Not everybody's unconscious. It's great. We have allies, So hold on and we'll say goodbye here in the break.
All right.